the spring? I know that's been a point of focus for you.
We're getting better at it. I think, somehow, we got to continue to find ways in coverage to create some more vision so that we can get our hands on a few more underneath balls. But, I think the emphasis has been there, and I like what happened today. I mean, that was a really good play with DJ Lundy and Kailyn DeLoach on the ball carrier, getting it out with a scoop and score. And, the takeaways, I've said this before, are really critical because they get the ball back to our offense quick. But just the ball disruptions have really gone up. And, that's just getting your hands in throwing lanes, getting your hands up when the quarterback's throwing the football, just attacking the ball on the catch point with the wideouts. And we're tallying those things, and those numbers are really going up. So, we just got to keep at it and keep the summer training to keep working on those takeaway circuits.
Over to the left for Brendan.
Speaking of takeaways, Kailyn DeLoach had two of them today. I guess, what have you seen from him this spring? What areas has he improved on, and what can he be for you guys this season?
Yeah, Kailyn's played a good amount of football. I thought, his improvement from last scrimmage to this one was impactful. I didn't think he was his best. I've got really high expectations for Kailyn. He's played some really important football, and I think he's got a lot of leadership capabilities to him too. And he's constantly building his body to get it bigger and stronger. But it was great to see him have that impact. I mean, those are two game-changing plays. I mean, he may have had 2 defensive touchdowns today, and so that's huge for him. But I think he has that in him. I think he has that in him to be that way week in and week out. And I think the next several months and it is important for him to build that portfolio because I do trust him and I do believe in him.
Come down to Essen, front row, over here on the left.
I think we've talked about Byron Turner a couple times already, the spring he's had, but he had a sequence where he had back-to-back sacks and stalled the drive, forced a 3rd and long, then got a sack on 3rd down. How much improvement have you seen from him this spring?
Byron has made strides. We've invested a lot of reps in Byron. And, I think we saw some of that impact today. Just through 14 practices, we can trust that he's going to do his job and be in the right position. It's just his pad level and just the fundamentals and being consistent with it for him to be a really good player. He's really physical. He's probably behind Jared, probably the fastest defensive line we have, just straight line besides Jared. But, I just think his consistency with the fundamentals, because he just kind of plays through contact and, he's a ball of knives. He runs through people, but, at times he gets pushed out of the way or he gets run by the quarterback and, things that we can still really clean up with him. But I got to remind myself, like, he still is a redshirt freshman. And, we've had some good young players play good early, and I don't want to say he's ahead of schedule or behind his schedule. He's just on Byron's schedule. And, I think there's more in him. But it was good to see him have some success today. And, that's a spot that, we've obviously had some impact players. I think Byron can be a good piece to us, this fall, and I'm looking forward to seeing the gains he makes in the future.
Next will be Ira in the middle.
Just going to want to follow back up on what you were saying about Kailyn. The sense I'm getting maybe is like maybe he doesn't realize how dominant he could be. Is that accurate, or is it just he hasn't been in that position?
Ira, I think, we live in a program where each day we try to tell them what they do well and what they need to improve. And, today was the most important practice we have because it was today. And I know Mike said this numerous times to everybody out there, but that's how you get better. And so I don't want to say, I think Kailyn does have high expectations for himself. I think he thinks he could be one of the better linebackers in the country. I trust what I know, and I trust what I've been through with Kailyn. And I just know from a consistency standpoint, if he plays at his optimum, he can be a big-time playmaker for us next fall. And I think that can be from week 1 all the way to whatever the last game happens to be. And I just want to see him maximize each day, and not just Kailyn, but there were times this spring that we weren't our best all the time, and we're constantly striving to get to that point. And I think we've seen Kailyn make some really splash plays, and it's easy to talk about him right now because he just maybe scored 2 defensive touchdowns, so he happens to be the topic. But from where he's been to where he is now has been great growth. I just think there's more, and I think he knows that too, and I can't wait to see what that looks like.
Upper row to
Coach, I know you're focused on the guys that you're able to coach that are on the field with you, but are you able to at all kind of project to what you guys will look like when you have the full allotment of the talent that you've kind of seen at practice throughout the spring and the guys that you did bring in but weren't able to coach this spring?
Yes. Yes. Oh, well, I don't know. I'm kind of projecting it, but I do, because the recruitment's still a recruitment. And, like, you can't be the coach that, well, I'm going to recruit these guys. Well, he's kind of hurt, so I don't know what it's going to look like. That's awful. Like, it's your job to know what it's going to look like. Now, it can change because your evaluation can be wrong. They could get here and change direction. So you got to kind of be open-minded to that. But, when we signed this class and we brought them into this current group, we knew what it would look like from a structure and how we could use different pieces. Now, the great question would be, if we had them all, would we be doing everything that we could be doing for the fall? And that would be yes. We couldn't do all the different maybe personnel packages or get as much of the dime look stuff with some of the DBs because there's been guys down. That's part of dealing with the spring. But we could get some of that stuff done in drill work. There were times that we were playing with 6 DBs in some perimeter drills or some 7-on-7 drills or some half-line skelly drills. During pods, we played some of the defensive ends inside to run some of the games. We played some of the defensive tackles outside in different fronts. But we just haven't been able to do everything we want because of some of the guys that weren't available, but definitely know what it's going to be.
We saw Quindarius show up again today, make some flash plays. That's really been a lot of what we've seen this spring. How impressive have you been with him coming in and kind of being an instant playmaker pretty consistently?
Very impressed. He, had a really good winter program. For somebody to graduate high school and show up in what we demand in December, it takes a really special young man. And I think Quinn did a really good job. He had a really good tour of duty. His winter sessions were excellent. They really were. He kind of stayed the course and was very consistent. And then we got out there in practice 1, and he looked like a freshman. In practice 2, he still looked like a freshman. By practice 3 to 4, I remember grabbing Coach Sartan. I said, he's really taken to coaching already. And by 5 to now, like, I'm comfortable with him when the ball's thrown at him. Now it's about just getting him when the ball isn't thrown at him and he's involved in the blitz game, in the run fit, in the pass fit, just making sure that we can count on him being where he needs to be with the right leverage. And that's not Quinn's fault. That's just reps and practice and time and investment. But for me to sit here and say when the ball's thrown at him, I have a lot of confidence in Quindarius, that's really good praise because that's a young man that's really taken to the program the last couple months and really like what Pat's done with him. And it's a credit to him and his work ethic, Quindarius.
Next will be Brendan on the left over here.
Last time we talked to you after the second scrimmage, paraphrase, but you mentioned a sense of urgency being needed for some of the safeties. Since that moment to now, what have you seen from them, how they responded from that second scrimmage?
Yeah, better. It was good to get Duke back involved. He was down for a little bit there. It's good to get Akeem and Shaheem involved. I feel really confident in the skill set of the group. It's my job to make sure that they're playing to their abilities. And, I think today was, a good showing by them. If we do what we should do up front, then maybe all the production isn't there. Did we use them like we're going to use them against LSU? Probably not. Maybe in some categories, but, they just, I think they were good today. I thought our communication was better in the red zone when we started out practice. I think that first group went 3 and out, so that was a good start. First series when we got some of the other guys in there, I thought, I like that group. I think we've got the right people there. It'd be good to get some of these guys back to be able to add some depth into that group, but I like the top of the group.
Okay, we'll go back to Ira in the middle.
If you could talk a little bit about the young linebackers. Omar, obviously, you've talked about him some this spring, but then also DeMarco and how he's come on as another true freshman.
Yeah, I thought DeMarco has really played really well throughout spring. I thought today probably wasn't his best day. He looked a little bit slow in reactions today. But take away today's performance, and I do think, it's hard to say, wow, that looks like a freshman. And at linebacker and safety, that is so difficult not to look like a freshman because you're in the middle of it. And so things come at you from both ways. you know, Coach Fuller, Coach Shannon, Coach Sertan are telling you, hey, look at this guy. And then Coach Norvell's lining up in this formation. They're doing this. And, you know, all of a sudden, well, yeah, you got to do that, but on this, you have to do this. And so the kid, you know, their wheels just keep turning. And he has not been that way. I mean, he's been very composed. He's been very assignment sound. He's looked like he's shown good quickness in short areas. You know, so I've been really pleased that, you know, you can go into a summer and you're not on day one with him. And I just think the speed of the game, he's got to pick that up, and that's going to come with some reps.
Veteran guys like Renardo and Dennis, you know, they've been here since day one when you guys have gotten here, and they've moved around some positions, and now they've kind of found homes. And how reliable are those two guys for you? And if you could maybe just kind of expound on each of those guys individually, just how good can Renardo be for you guys, and how important is Dennis going to be for your guys' rotation up front?
You know, just to take you through it, you know, when I got here, you know, I watched Renardo. He had played some corner. I went back and watched his high school film. There was some film of his freshman year here. We made the decision to move him to safety based off what we had in the program at that point. He gave us some good reps, and then, you know, he had some up and down moments of injuries and trying to come back from it. And, you know, I think one of the better decisions we did as a program was putting him at corner. And, you know, he could have played safety. He can play nickel. He's got all the skills to play a lot of different spots. But we made that decision, and he had a really good year, you know. And I think now he's going to year 2 of playing the same position, getting the same reps, and that comes with confidence. And so, you know, I think Renardo's one of our strongest competitors. You know, I think he's a really good one-on-one player. He's a really good tackler for a corner. And overall, he's somebody that's really worked hard and earned the trust of his teammates and his coaching staff. And, you know, he plays the game the right way. He plays hard. He's a physical, good one-on-one defender. He's become a really good team player, and I think our players believe in him. You know, Dennis, you know, taking it all the way back, he was the one in the COVID year. All of a sudden, he came back in that North Carolina game and played after practicing 3 times. You know, it's been look back to all those years and everything that's had to transpire for him. And then he was playing really good football, then got hurt, missed most of the year. You know, last year did what was best for the team, and we moved him out, moved him a little bit back inside, and that was probably his best football. And, you know, I thought the bowl game was one of his best games since he's been here. So, you know, just looking forward to getting some consistency with him, and just looking forward to what the impact will be.
All right, thanks, Adam.
Thanks, guys.